All right, we are back with another episode, and on this episode we have Anna Bright. Real quick, I want to know, because I feel like this came up just very random. So James texted me and was like, can Anna be on the podcast, basically? And I was like...
no. Wait, who's Anna? No, I'm just kidding.
We were like, yeah, no, that's fine. That's great. But what made you want to come on the podcast? Because I assume you hadn't seen anything before whenever that day was, like 2 days ago.
No, I had seen a couple of your guys' podcasts. I'm a bit of a nerd, and my dad really is a nerd, and my dad found some way to search for YouTube for all videos in which you're mentioned. So we watched clips of your podcast where I was mentioned.
Which one did we mention you? And I don't even know that.
Something where I was funny at MLP, the whole wine call thing, and
that was me.
something related to Christian also.
I want to know how this tool works.
Some
I'm
website,
curious
I don't know.
I'm going to have to talk to your dad. That's really cool.
You might not find any mentions of yourself, though.
Oh, holy cow. Beginning of the podcast and I'm roasted. Oh my goodness. All right. I like it. Okay, well, for those of you who don't know, it's probably very few of you if you listen to a pickleball podcast, but Anna Bright came onto the scene probably, 6-ish months ago now?
Late February. Yeah.
Oh, late February.
Guess,
okay, yeah. So 6-ish months, and like you kind of took the whole thing by storm, like your first tournament. Everyone kind of went nuts. Obviously, since then, you've been playing really well.
It's not that you went nuts. It's the way you went nuts. You were screaming so loud, and I had to turn down the volume on my laptop when I was watching some of your clips. It's like, who is this?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so you do tend to get pretty amped and hyped on the court. Have you always been like that?
Yeah, I've always been like that. On my college tennis team, I was the designated hype chick.
Okay.
So yeah, I've always brought the hype. Especially, I don't know, I think pickleball is really, really intense, more so than tennis, even in a lot of senses. Really? So it's just so intimate,
Yeah, that's
people
true.
At the kitchen line, you have these hands exchanges. Like so many points in tennis are just a random mistake.
Yeah.
And then.
Well, when we were talking to James, we were also just saying in tennis, like if you were gonna banter or something, they're so far away, you yell at them, they might not even hear you. And then you say it a second time and it's not funny anymore.
Right, exactly.
In pickleball, you're so close. You're like, there's no way you didn't hear what I just said.
Yeah, you want to tell them to shut up because they're so close.
Right.
I'm like, oh my gosh, do I have to keep on listening?
So were you similar in junior tennis, or was it not till college that you got pretty amped?
I would always get amped for sure. But college tennis is like another level. And then I think pickleball is again another level.
Sure. Well, tell us about just kind of your pickleball origin story. I actually don't know if I've heard that. I listened to a couple clips that you were in, but just kind of tell us how you got into pickleball. Obviously, you were playing high-level tennis. It was D1, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how did you transition into pickleball, and the first time you saw it, were you like, this is stupid, like every tennis player?
No. So I was first introduced to pickleball maybe in like 2016, 2015. I didn't play, but we had 2 tennis courts in my community, and they converted one of them to 4 pickleball courts. And we were not pleased about it, me and my family. And they were just vacant. This is like 2015, 2016. And so it went back to a tennis court in just a couple months. But that was my first time.
Oh, really? Wait.
Well, they were ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Did they convert it to like an actual pickleball court, or just add the lines?
No, they converted a tennis court to either 2 or 3 fully permanent pickleball courts. And they were vacant. And a few months later, they made it back into a tennis court, like permanent.
Well, that's crazy. I've actually never even, that was obviously a while ago, but that's crazy. I can't even imagine that now.
Yeah, like permanent pickleball nets, everything, and then they made it into a tennis court again. So that was ahead of its time, but that was the first time I heard of the sport, and I did not have a positive impression. I remember one time 2 people came out to play, and I was like, yeah, that's so dumb. Why would anyone do that?
That's really embarrassing.
I was like, that's just childish.
That's a clip. Pickleball, childish.
Yeah, I mean, so that was my first introduction, and then I graduated college, finished up playing tennis, and so this was like 2021, September of 2021, I guess, and a park by my house had converted some courts into pickleball courts, and my parents would go play sometimes, and there was like open play, like Tuesday and Thursday nights people would go, and so I went with them once, and I mean, it was fun. I liked playing with my family. But when I got more serious, one guy at the park was like, yo, like, you're really good. Like, you should go play in this charity tournament that's like 45 minutes away.
And you were like, of course I'm good. I'm playing pickleball. This thing's
I
the
wasn't-
easiest thing ever.
I wasn't like, I'm good. I'm just like, you just suck.
Get wrecked.
No, like, no, not actually.
Yeah, you were. Don't lie.
It was kind of funny though. Like this guy was so nice, but he was just, like trying so hard, and I was just like, dang, it's pretty easy.
Like I'm playing lefty.
No, but then I went to that park and I tried it out, and that place had like really good players, a lot of 4-0s, 4-5s. That was my first time playing with people at my level, and like, that's when I was hooked. I ended up playing the tournament.
What did you play in the tournament? What division?
So it's funny. I just got matched up with a partner. I just texted the director, and so it's a complete blind date. I've never played in a pickleball tournament. It's just a charity thing, like really small.
Yeah.
We were gonna play 4-0, and then after the first day of us playing together, he was like, "You're really good. Like we play 4-5." He's like Cuban, not very good English, and I was like, "Okay." And then we ended up also deciding to play in the Open. And in the Open, we lost to like Georgia Johnson and Gabe Tardio.
Okay.
In the finals?
It was like group play, like round robin play, and then you advanced out. So we just didn't advance out. We also played like Brandon Hubschman. So there's a lot of good players in our area.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking Georgia and Gabe were like another level entirely.
Was that the first time you were impressed with pickleball players?
Oh, no. I was impressed like whenever I would go to that park.
Oh,
okay. Because everyone was like, people were better than me, for sure. But it's kind of funny, like right off the bat, I'm probably like almost a 4-5.
Yeah.
It's just my first time playing.
I would be shocked if you were not at least 4-5, like just, starting off.
Yeah. And then just within like 2-3 weeks,
well, once you
I'm
learn
a solid
how to dink,
5-0.
yeah, you just like, you go way up.
Yeah.
Not every ball is getting ripped.
Yeah. So really quick. And then we actually got second in the 4-5. And yeah, like went maybe 3-3 in the 5-0 group play, something like that.
Okay. Not bad.
Or the Open, I guess. Yeah.
So after college tennis, was it just like, I'm kind of like done. I was going to do this in college and now maybe I'll play for fun, but I'm not going to do any more with it? Or was there ever any thought you were going to do more with tennis after college?
No, there was no thought. I could have actually taken the 5th year due to COVID. Like I could have played one more year of college tennis, and my coaches actually like really, really wanted me to, because I was I played all over the lineup during my time in college, but the last like year I was playing at 5-6, but I just didn't lose.
Sure.
Like, I was 20-3.
Oh wow.
I was just really
crushing people.
Yeah, I just
like you're doing in pickleball now.
I just didn't lose. So I was really, really valuable just with my game style, like just kind of a grinder, someone who didn't really miss. So they really wanted me to stay, but I was just ready to be done. I describe it as like you're getting ready to turn like the last page in a chapter of a book. You're not like looking forward to it. You're not dreading it, but it's just time, and it's time.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. How much of like the training got old in tennis? Like by the time you finished, was it just like a lot of people, I think James might have even said this, just like burnt out by the end of it. It's like, I just don't care anymore. Like this is just hard work.
I think I'm unique in that I never liked practicing. I never loved tennis like a lot of people loved it, I think. But my dad played in college, and it just started me. There are photos when I was like 2 of me across the net, and like him just tossing balls to me. I got serious at 6. So it's just something I've done my whole life.
I see.
But I would always hope that it would rain. I'd hope for anything to get out of practice. But I just happened to be, I was really good and I loved competing, and I was a really good competitor, loved winning.
Yep.
So, I mean, I liked it, but probably the most burnout time of my life when I was like 13, 14. But I had a good time playing college tennis, but I practiced like a lot by my standards.
Was it more singles or doubles?
It's both.
It was both?
Yeah,
okay.
I was
Did you
better,
enjoy one?
Oh, I preferred doubles. I was always a better doubles player than singles player, which translates better to pickleball, obviously. But
which is why you came on the scene hot, just wrecking people left and right.
You started out better in, I actually can't remember the very first tournament. Did you start out better in singles or doubles, or did you win both?
I actually won both, but I think I'm a relatively like better doubles player than singles player, which is not the norm perhaps for tennis players coming over.
Right. Normally it's the other way.
Yeah.
So it's pretty interesting. You said that you didn't like tennis. I guess growing up felt like a job per se, but you kind of just stuck with it or played it just because you were good or because you were a competitor. It looks like you're a very competitive person.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I want to say I didn't like it, but it wasn't really like a choice. It's just something I did.
I see.
Just kind of part of my identity, I guess. So yeah, it's just something I did a lot of. I liked winning a lot. I was always
Everyone likes winning, definitely.
I always really had the disposition for tennis. It's kind of like boxing. I think it's a similar mindset. It's just you, another person. You're all alone, no coaching. So
hearing that for tennis, I remember I went back and listened to another podcast clip you were on, and this was back in March, I think. And you were asked about, like, are you still working? Like, are you doing pickleball full time? Like, what's the deal? And at the time, you said, I don't really ever want pickleball to be my full time thing. Like, I don't want to get burnt out on it. But I assume at this point, pickleball is full time now. So did you change your mind, or are you still doing regular work?
No, I'm all in on the pickleball. So I was working as a project manager at a small fintech company. Then I kind of had that big breakout tournament. And I was going to go part-time with them. But then Jill Braverman at Duper found me on LinkedIn, liked my background. She reached out to me, recruited me over. So then I worked for Duper for a few months. And then I kind of made the decision. I stopped working for Duper after MLP, the second MLP.
Oh, at Newport?
Yeah, that was my last week with Duper.
So that wasn't that long ago.
No, only 6 or 7 weeks ago.
How was it working over at Duper?
It was great. I really, really liked it. But just what the company needed and what I could give at that point were really different with how talented I am at pickleball and how young I am. I just kind of decided I have to really pursue it, and they totally got it.
Jill, you don't get that many chances to do.
Right. Jill totally got it. Jill was like, if I was your age with your talent, I'd do the same thing.
Wait, how old are you right now?
I'm 22.
Oh, okay. 22.
So what kind of changed? And I mean, obviously you came out on the scene and started doing really well. I'm sure that was a big influence. But in that interview, you seemed fairly adamant, yeah, no, we don't want to do that. Something flipped. I
think that I started, I don't know which interview you're referring to, but that was just
with Scott.
Oh, and that was just a week after Punta Gorda or something. It was right after. And I think that since I've traveled so much, played so many tournaments, and still really enjoying it, really loving it. And I was also feeling I was not training enough to maximize how good I could be.
I see.
So I was I have to, if I want to actually be good at this, I have to spend more time.
Yeah.
Do you not mind the training in pickleball?
I like it. It's fun. Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun.
What are you working on, I guess, right now? I mean, you just started, going full force in pickleball. And I mean, obviously you're competing with the best of the best right now, but are there holes in your game right now? And basically what I'm asking is, if I want to beat you when we play, what do I need to do?
I don't think there are obvious holes in my game. I don't really think people at the top generally have holes. There's just some things you don't have. Right now I'm trying to work on getting really good at lobbing. I was really, really talented at lobbing in tennis, one of the best probably in college tennis.
You were a lobster.
I was really good. If anybody knows, in girls 12s, there's 4 super nationals a year. They're basically the grand slams of junior tennis, in America.
Mm-hmm.
And I won, and I was just moonballing everyone.
Well, it's probably perfect in junior tennis. You don't have the height.
Up until a point, it works really well, and I was really good at it. So
do you think the lob is going to become? I mean, I feel in the last few months we've seen it become a lot more common. You see a lot more pros using it, Callan Dawson, Matt Wright was using it quite a bit recently.
Cool.
But the lob has always been maybe this is more at the amateur level, but it's always been such a controversial thing. Do you feel in the next 2 years you're going to see it used way more? It just seems so good for getting someone off the kitchen line and kind of resetting the point. They have to work back in.
Yeah, I don't know. I think in mixed, it's a really good tool for women to just reset a point and just to do something, because mixed is really tough for me to figure it out. The balance between just making dinks and just grinding dinks and then actually being aggressive, something I have to figure out. So I feel Simone lobs a lot and I hate it. So I might as well learn how to do it myself. In women's, I don't really know. Women's is such a rip fest. It's not the dink rallies are that long anyway. So is there time to work in the disguise of a lob? Because if someone sees you're lobbing, you're in a real bad spot. So I don't really know. I think it'll be interesting, but I see it in mixed, because right now Simone does it a lot. Elise Jones does it a lot, but other women aren't really doing it that much. But then you see senior pros, they lob incessantly.
Yeah.
All the time.
Savages.
All the time, and
wait, did you see was there a rule proposal of doing away with the lob?
No, it was there was a rule proposal for 2023 to ban all third shot lobs. Like if you hit a third shot lob, you lose the point. And I was like, there's no way to enforce that. You drive a ball at me and I pop it up or something. I don't know. Like you can't enforce what determines a lob if you're short? Like,
right.
If you're like Will, like it doesn't take much.
Funny. I got hops. Don't you be trying to lob me.
But there is a lot of really
I want you to lob me.
Silly rule proposals. But so you're talking about mixed. We actually talked to James about this, and I want to get your take on this. What do you think the current state of how mixed is played? How do you feel about it? Like, the guy typically takes a lot of court. Like from your perspective, do you like that? Do you not like that?
I don't think it's a matter of liking it or not. I think that's how the best mixed is played. And you're on the whole.
Yeah, and you're not, I guess, against it or anything right now. Obviously, because you're obviously a very capable player, but us mere mortals at the lower levels, or people who are just, on Facebook, social media, or whatever, they're just complaining they see these mixed clips.
Well, especially when the guy is like taking over a bunch and then they lose the point. They're always like, oh, if the guy didn't do that, that would have been fine.
Right, exactly.
But I feel like as we talk to more people, especially at the higher level, they're like, yeah, this is just what you do.
Like, this is what you have to do.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of how mix has to be played. I do think maybe some men take a little too much court.
Like who?
I think Deckel sometimes has taken a lot of court, and it's like crazy. So I don't really know that I've seen anyone take more than Deckel. But when I hate playing against Deckel, I've actually never beaten him. When he's playing well, it just feels like there's literally nothing you can do. It just feels like you're suffocating.
You can't get the ball away from him.
Yeah, but every match I've played him, I feel like he's had patches of not playing well, and then it's like he's managing to touch like 80% of the balls. So it's not that bad a situation, but he always gets hot. So Deckel's a really great player, but I feel like I don't think anyone takes more than him, and I feel like sometimes it maybe causes problems. Or it's just too much. He just gets himself too out of position, but I don't think I do a good job of exploiting that. Whereas I think better mixed players like than me right now are probably a little better with that.
Yeah. So the current state of how it's played, you're like, this is fine, wouldn't really change anything?
No, I mean, if I go against a man in hands, like, unless I start way ahead, I'm going to lose. It's just a fact. I don't think the reaction time is that much faster. Like, it is faster, but it's largely just the power, I think. And the fact that they hit the balls, like, way farther out in front than women do. They just take away a lot of time, whereas we're hitting more of, like, swing volleys. So that's, like, another quarter of a second that the ball's traveling both to us and back before it reaches like where they make contact out in front.
Yep.
So it's just different. And so no,
it's interesting to hear. You always see, I mean, I don't know if you see, but I see all the time just people debating incessantly on like, let them play, like this woman's probably better than the guy. And I think there are a lot of cases where that is, but the way I've always viewed it is if all of these teams do it, like all these women aren't just going, oh man, I just wish my guy partner would just stop doing this. Like it's obviously premeditated. This is like the plan you have. And if you didn't enjoy it, you wouldn't play with these people. So to me, it just seems like, I don't know, it makes sense.
Yeah, I think the let them play argument is a little tired because the highlights we see are the crazy points when the balls are high, like overheads are getting slammed. And the man is going to be the one mostly doing that. But women touch more balls than mixed.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
just
for sure.
Grinding dinks cross court. So we actually touch more balls.
Yeah.
But it's just the highlight points are the ones where, the men look like studs. Like they're hitting overheads, they're doing stuff. But we do like most of the work.
Right.
Dinking, setting up the partner, like making like crazy resets. Like, so,
because they're going after you.
We play plenty. I get more sore a lot of times after like a good mixed match than a good women's match. Just because like, my right butt cheek is just like dying just from grinding,
all the lunging.
just grinding the same shot. Like,
I feel like that's always a missing element of it when you're watching just a highlight. It's so easy to not see how the rest of the match played out. And if you watch a lot of mixed, actually, there's a great example. I don't know if you've ever seen this clip. It was last year, Riley Newman at Nationals. It was like Lindsay and Jesse. They hit something like 80 cross court dinks back and forth, and Riley literally just gets on his knees and just like.
No way.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's just like messing around. And it's really funny to watch. I was kind of surprised that Jesse or whoever didn't just speed it up down the line. But so I feel like you do just, if you actually watch mixed, there is a ton of just that cross-court dinking. It's like they hit a lot of balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you like mixed? Like, which one do you prefer of the three? Like singles, and then gendered, and then mixed? And how different are the three games from each other? Do you have to adapt more or play a different style more or less for each of them?
Definitely. Everyone's very different. Women's is definitely my favorite. Love women's doubles. Really fun. It just kind of comes down to hand speed and your power.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like the quality of dinks really matter too much. I don't really think.
Well, the firefights seem to last a lot longer in women's, and they seem to start faster as well.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I feel that's because, I don't know, I feel when I watch women's doubles, they stand a little bit further from the kitchen line, and you are doing swing volleys, like back to back to back, and everybody has a swing volley. I feel like a two-handed swing volley. I don't see that many one-handed, I don't know, flicks or what else. Is that the case? Is that what you see?
Yeah, I think it's just an issue, not an issue, but it's just a limitation of strength.
Sure.
I see.
You know, whereas men are really strong, like at their body with one hand, flicking with one hand, you know, countering with one. Just don't really have that.
Gotcha. And is that why you guys step a little bit further from the kitchen line, just so you have a little bit more time to react? Because I don't know, when I see the firefights from the women, it just looks like a boxing match. You guys are just throwing haymakers, but for the men, I just feel like it's a little flicks, like on a few blocks. But the women, I'm just like, oh my gosh, they're gonna hit each other. I feel like you're gonna like smack like Jesse or sometimes when you're swinging, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'd be scared.
Yeah. It's just for more time to clock the shot and take the big backswing.
So you don't feel that that's a detriment? Because I mean, I hear it too. Some people will say, oh, why are they so far away from the kitchen line? They should just stand closer and hug the kitchen line. Some people say like, oh, the women, they're doing it wrong. And I'm like, there's no way they're doing it wrong. Like, they're at this level. There's no way they're doing it wrong.
They're on the stream and you're at home.
Yeah, I kind of think that's the case. I think it's just the technique.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll change, and maybe you will have women who can stand on the line and punch well with one hand.
Does anybody do that well now? Or actually, which women, or I guess which players do you fear the most on the tour?
Oh, Anna Lee, 100%.
Yeah.
She's definitely, I kind of think Anna Lee in the women's game is kind of on her own tier.
Oh,
a little
that's what
bit.
it feels like for singles right now, too. I mean, Paris and her haven't played a bunch. Obviously, that one time Paris won, but do you feel that way too for singles or only doubles?
More so for doubles.
Okay.
Honestly, she's definitely smacked me in singles, but I think, you know, Anna Lee is really good at singles. Paris is really good. I think you could kind of probably put them in the same tier.
Okay.
And then you have like
what's the next
Leah
tier?
Jansen. She's improved a lot. We haven't seen it too much. But since they're, you know, the long PPA off season, I think Leia's gotten a lot better. I know she's been working really hard, and she was actually, she played Anna Lee pretty close in the finals of Cincinnati, lost in 3, but they were 3 tight games, and she was actually up big in one of them.
Okay.
The Leia and like Catherine, probably myself, Salome, Davidze, who I think can play in that top tier when she's playing well. You know, some others I'm forgetting for sure, but I don't think it's as big a separation. But in women's, I definitely think Anna Lee's in a tier of her own, and I don't think anyone is really right after her.
Why do you feel like she's in a tier of her own? Like, what is it that makes her so much better than everyone else? I'm gonna reset this camera while you guys chat.
I think she whacks the ball. She's got a lot of power. Her movement is unbelievable. Her ability to hit when she's off balance is really good, and just her hand speed is good. I don't know that her hand speed I think is that much better than everyone else's. I think she just hits really hard, because winning a firefight is a combination of your power and your hand speed. And I also think she's played so long, she's really good at anticipating like where the next ball is coming. So she's really ready for it.
I think so too. I think she knows those patterns and she instinctively goes there. Actually, when I watch a lot of pro players, I actually watch Anna Lee the most, just because I'm like, okay, we're around the same height, and I'm like, I need to take from her like mechanics, right? And then she has the two-handed backhand. I'm like, okay, what is she doing? Because, you know, she's good enough to beat, you know, some of the guys out there, right? And yeah, just the way that she moves. Sometimes I'm like, there's no way she's getting this. And then not only does she get to a ball, she executes like an amazing shot after she gets to it. And I don't know how she does it either.
Yeah, so I definitely think Annalie's in a kind of in a tier of her own. And then I think after that, I think there's like between 7 to 10 of us who are all pretty close.
Pretty
And
similar,
I think it's kind of like a toss up for who is.
Is there anybody
the best.
that is like coming up right now that you've seen or that you know that maybe we haven't seen yet that you think will be really good or somebody to watch out for?
There's a lot of people who I think could get really, really good and could kind of break into that kind of next tier. Lacey Schneeman has tons of power, so much power, but she can be really off as well. Like her margins are really small and she's really like wristy and slappy.
Yeah, she hits it so low over the net. I remember at MLP when she came in on the Dreambreaker when Harris, I guess, kind of injured herself. And me and the other guys that were statting it were like, who is this? Well, first of all, we're like, how do you spell her name? How many E's are in there? And then, yeah, we're like, there's no way. Why did they pick little Lacey Schneeman? And then she's just ripping just these balls like crazy.
Yeah, she's jacked. So she, I think if she got more consistent, but I also think her technique is a little funky. Like it's hard to be really consistent when you're that slappy. But there's a reason most of us aren't that slappy, but she's someone who's really interesting and really aggressive, really fast. And then Etta Wright is like really good, getting a lot better. It'll be interesting. She's got probably one of the best like one-handed flicks, I think, in the game, in the women's game.
Yeah, no, I was a fan of her when I saw her at MLP, I guess at Newport. Yeah, and speaking of MLP, so, well,
actually, real quick, before we get too far, because I have one other thing I wanted to ask about. It was somewhat related to mix, but so I feel like in women's, you don't see as often where the left side player is as aggressive. In men's, like in men's, you'll even see the guys, take a decent amount of court, maybe not quite as much in mix, but I feel like in women's, people tend to mostly play their side. What is there, like, what's the thought behind that, or why do you think that is?
Oh, we're just not as mobile.
Oh, sure.
I also think the men's game is a lot more strategic. Like you have kind of a more generally right side, like setup player.
Yeah.
And then the person on the left is like finishing with their forehand, creating more.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's always going to be the blueprint because you have guys like Matt Wright and Dylan Frazier who are also creating like tons of offense on the right.
Yeah.
And I think they're like the best right side guys in the game. They're not like dedicated right side. It's not like they still play the left a lot. So I think that may be the way that the game goes. But in women's, it's like you don't really have like generally like a setup player on the right. It's like everybody's got tons of power. Everybody's looking to attack and finish. And I just think it's partially just like an issue of, not an issue, but a limitation of mobility. We can't cover as much court. Also, men are so strong. They have ability to, when they're pulled, if they're standing in the middle of the court and they're pulled wide to their backhand, they can still really control that ball with one hand.
I see.
You don't really see women hitting balls with control that are like behind their back. Whereas you'll see Ben Johns will even attack sometimes from that position.
His little backhand scoop thing is ridiculous.
I think it's just limitation of strength and mobility.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. It always seems so balanced. I was like, I don't know if that's a thing. So then when people are stacking, what typically ends up in the women's when they're stacking, if it's, more even, people are typically, it's not so much like this person needs to set up. What do you think makes people stack? In men's, it just seems like, you're the way better left side player. Like your forehand's huge. Just take everything.
I think it's comfort, which kind of dink people prefer. I definitely like hitting. I feel like I have a few more weapons on the left with my backhand over there. My roll is good, gives some people a lot of trouble. So when Jesse and I are playing together, I'm generally on the left. But it just depends, like, if my roll isn't bothering people, Jessie will go on the left because she has, a nice slice and the ability to reach in and kind of poke some balls really well. So I think it just depends. Sometimes you want to be in front of a particular person for whatever reason.
Sure. Sure.
So, yeah, I don't know. Then you have, I would say Vivian David is the only top woman who is like purely a like one side player. Like she just plays the right, and
she's like a reset machine.
Yes,
she's a reset machine, but she's also she's wicked fast. She's got amazing backhand.
And she's a sweetheart.
Yeah. So Viv is like the only person who is a right side player, and that's it. I think everybody else is generally like really solid on both sides. Maybe some people have a few more weapons on one.
Sure.
But generally, I think everybody else is comfortable on both in the women's game.
Cool. Nice.
All right.
Go ahead and do your MLP.
Oh yes, I want to know. I guess going into the next MLP event in Columbus, Ohio, how do you feel about that? I mean, obviously you're the reigning champs, and I don't know. It always seems like you're really fired up at MLP, like more so than I've seen you at the other tournaments or regular tournaments at APP, PPA.
Yeah, definitely. MLP encourages rowdiness for sure.
And you're one of the rowdiest people out there.
Yeah, I think the first MLP, I think probably only Althoff was getting louder than me. But our team did get 11th place, but I was still going crazy. The first go around, it was so fun. I'm super, super stoked. It doesn't really feel like it's actually happening in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that. But we're really excited. I think that our group, the groups were just released. I think our group is really tough. It's like us, the Mad Drops,
Chimeras?
the Chimeras,
And the bus.
And both the bus and the Mad Drops made some pretty big changes. And the Chimeras got Gabe Tardio. So I think we're kind of in the death group. So it'll be tough. I think we are the favorite, probably. We just won. We have the same team. We have a good team. But it's not like, it's not like the Ranchers had like a 60% chance of winning, like, and the field is 40.
Yeah.
Not by any means. I'd give us maybe like 20 to 30.
Well,
Probably a higher percentage than the rest of the teams. But I think it'll be really competitive. I think people are always really hungry to take down the defending champs, and it'll be tough to advance out of that group.
Who do you think is the team you're most worried about?
Probably the Mad Drops.
Okay.
Yeah, because they have AJ and Julian now. I think they're going to struggle in women's. Like Lee and Mary are great players, but they just don't really complement each other, I think. I could be totally wrong, but just my 2 cents. But Mary and Lee are both really good mixed players. And on paper, AJ and Julian are the best men's team, unless for whatever reason they just don't vibe and they don't mesh. But on paper, that's the best men's team. Both like really great mixed players who will have good like women and mixed too. So I think that's going to be a team that's going to be really, really interesting and that nobody wants to play. So I think the bus also, now they have Lauren Stratman and Susanna Barr. So 2 top women. So kind of similar to Jackie and I. And then Wes and Eric are really solid. So
not that scared to be okay, Q.
Oh, I am. They're still really good, but it's not as much of an unknown.
Sure.
There, I guess
sure.
I kind of know
what to expect.
Yeah, know what
you've
to
already
expect
played
against
them
that team. We've played them before. You've seen. Everybody can go and watch what they've done. Whereas these 2 teams are really new.
Yeah,
I'd say so.
Yeah. Do you think so? MLP's super early stages right now, but let's just say it continues and we're doing MLP 5 years from now, fairly similar format. Do you think eventually teams will have to stick together longer and live in closer proximity to actually train together? Or do you think it's kind of always going to be this thing where it's like, I don't know, people get traded and then, we maybe train a little bit together, but we mostly see each other at MLP or something?
I think there may be more continuity in the future. I know next year MLP is going from 3 to 6 events. They probably want to keep expanding that, doing like seasons. And so maybe, I think the Florida Smash, the team with J-Dub and Travis and Lee originally, I think their goal was to have players in Florida because they had Maggie Ramenzi and they traded her for Michelle Esquivel, who's also from Florida. They ended up, trading Lee, but I think that might have been their goal a little bit, was to have all players.
I see. Oh, a little strategy on the back end.
Because they're called the Florida Smash, and
you want players from Florida.
I thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
How that shook out. So I think maybe that's what they were thinking. Just my speculation. And I know that team has trained together because the 3 of them are all pretty close, and then Jada was just like a 2-hour drive away.
Right.
Feels like it would just make the most sense, like consistently training with similar people. Even
if that's your goal.
I think in pickleball right now, for the regular tours, I will be curious to see over the years if people don't just start kind of landing on slightly longer term partners. Right now, it seems very tournament to tournament, like who's available for this one that I want to go to or whatever. And, you have a couple people, Ben, Colin, Riley, Matt, like teams are pretty solid. They don't move around much, but a lot of them seem to just switch around. And I feel like, I don't know, 3 years from now, I just can't imagine doing it that way all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I think one comment on the teams, I think in order for teams to be more geographically based, just think about right now, there's a lot of good pickleball pros in like my area of Southeast Florida. You've got the Naples, Fort Myers area, St. Petersburg, kind of on the West Coast. You've got Austin, Texas, and where else is there like a really big hub of good players?
Yeah.
So I think MLP would kind of have to become like the dominant tour in
order
pickleball
for that to happen.
in order for that to really happen.
Is that what you want?
I guess that would be really fun. I think it would be cool if
Is it your
pickleball
favorite
became
event?
more. Yeah, it's my favorite.
Okay.
If pickleball became more like team based, I don't want it to lose the individual aspect, but the team stuff is really, really fun. And then regarding partnerships, I think there's definitely, big advantage to just playing with one partner. It seems like on the PPA, that's more of the model. People have one partner for the whole calendar year. But right now, for me, I just don't feel like I'm at a point where I want to just have one partner. I only want to play with like a few people next year, not quite as all over the place, but just feel like I'm improving so much and I don't want to feel like stagnant.
Sure.
Just playing with one person.
Yeah.
Because I think
like
kind
if
of
you're
on
improving a bunch and your partner kind of stagnates a little bit,
or just I just think for me it's like fun to play with different people.
Okay.
I also think, this year Lucy and Callie kind of started the year as the dominant team on the PPA side. And now I kind of feel like it's still a great team, like not a team I want to play, but I feel like they've been doing worse in the last few months. And I just kind of think they've been figured out.
I see.
To an extent.
Yeah.
And so there's that risk when you're just playing with one person and that's it. Cause like, what can you really do?
Right.
So
right.
I think that's another reason I like the idea of still mixing up partners a
always
fair
seems
amount.
like such a gamble.
No,
It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
maybe on paper this person might seem like it would be better.
Right.
And then I feel like you get in and it's like, oh, it just did not go that well.
I feel like there's definitely an adjustment period when you switch your partner and if you haven't practiced or played a lot together. So you can go to a tournament like your first tournament, or even second, third, and
Well, even one like we
destroyed.
saw a long-term partnership this year, so maybe this is a counter to what I was saying, but I feel like Tyson and Jay, I haven't kept up with all their results, but it seems like they've always been just outside the podium or maybe like bronze. Like I don't think Jay and Tyson have won anything together this year, have they?
No.
No.
They got a silver in Cincinnati, but Riley wasn't at that tournament, so they weren't playing together.
Oh, I see. Well, and I suppose it is hard when you have Riley, Matt, Ben Johns at the top, or Ben and Colin at the top, but it just... So I feel like sometimes you get a partnership where I don't know how they feel. Maybe they think it's awesome and, the other teams are just super good. But I've kind of felt watching that one hasn't been working that well.
Yeah, and then you also had, Catherine and Jesse were playing the year together. And that one they went their separate ways, which I was definitely, major beneficiary of that split. But then, dropping someone for a whole year, it's not really like a great look. And,
Yeah.
Jay and Tyson are sticking it out.
What do you mean drop somebody for a whole year? Is that what happened?
Were they supposed to be partnered for a whole year or
Yeah.
something? Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And now obviously they're not, Catherine's playing with Leia.
Yep.
And Jesse, I have like a
You
lot of
fished.
tournaments. I have a lot of tournaments with Jesse. Not everything because I'm not signed. I'm not playing every PPA, but a lot of tournaments with her. So I got kind of lucky in that whole situation. So I just think it's a risk to commit to someone for a whole year. And sometimes it really pans out and it's worth it. You're playing with someone that you're winning with for the whole year, but maybe just something happens or you're just not getting along or
Yeah. I think that is where it would become really tough is, I don't know, mid-year you have some blow up or just chemistry's not there and now you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
You're going to play bad for the rest of the year now.
Andrea Coop actually was texting me and she was like, do you want to play a few tournaments next year? She's like, I don't like the one partner for a year thing. Like she said, that feels like a marriage and I already have one of those. And I thought that was a good way to look at things a little bit.
That is kind of funny.
Yeah, I like that.
I enjoy that.
So you're not signed with the PPA. You play APP. Obviously, you play MLP, and you say MLP is your favorite. So, I mean, are they courting you right now to try and sign you, or are you looking to be signed by them?
I wouldn't say I'm looking for it per se, but yeah, my agent is talking to them a lot, to the PPA right now. And yeah, we'll just kind of see how things go. You know, being able to play MLP is really important to me. But
What are
We'll
the
just
pros
see.
and cons in your mind between the two? If if you can share pros and cons.
yeah, so I really, really like the people on the APP side. Like, it just feels really friendly. The vibe is really good. Like in the Pro 10, everybody hangs out. We're all friends. We're all like kind of trash talking.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. I have a lot more friends there. Whereas the PPA, like, it just feels a little more like hostile.
Sure.
It does. But the PPA's tournaments are more fun. You know, they're more grand.
Yeah.
You got Chris Carson like just blasting music. You know.
James said the same thing.
This is
Yeah,
another
like-
shout out for Chris Carson.
Yeah,
Everyone
Chris
loves
Carson's
this guy.
really fun dude. So it's really fun to play on center court there. It just feels really professional. So
Yeah, the
and I
production
think
is so high. over
yeah, they do a really good job with that, and I think they treat their signed pros really well, not necessarily people who are unsigned. And they're doing a really good job lately of getting things on TV. Like, you know, getting things on Tennis Channel. I know they have an event later in the year on ABC, and I think they were on either CBS or NBC earlier in the year. So they're really good at that, and I feel like they're pretty agile. You know, I don't really support this, but it's like MLP has an event, and they just create an event to be the same weekend, like just with a month or 2 months notice, and they just fully create something and get all their pros to sign up.
Yeah.
And that's pretty impressive, that level of kind of agility in that sense.
Sure.
But
But you don't agree with it? Do you like it when they do that? When the PPA like sets up an event on the same weekend as like the MLP?
I think it's kind of petty.
Yeah.
That's kinda how I
Yeah.
feel.
So I don't really like it per se, but you know, it's what they're gonna do, right? It's a business, so it's fine.
They're
If
competing.
everything, if like, let's just say we'll take money out of the equation, because I feel like for a lot of people that is like the big differentiator. And I understand if you can't answer this question, but if you took money out of the equation, which one would you rather play on?
Oof, that's tough. I would lean APP,
Okay.
but the media coverage on the PPA is like a big deal.
So you care about that like a lot.
Yeah,
You know, why do you care about, I guess, the
Just
media coverage?
just for branding deals,
Mm,
you know, matters.
I
Yeah.
see.
Definitely. What in terms of that, is it just because it's on things like Tennis Channel or whatever? Or do you think like highlights and kind of recapping things is done better? Or
Not that per se. I think just getting on TV, you know, like
sure.
also the PPA has a bit more of a sense of prestige to it, at least now, because they have, you know, so many of the best players signed.
Yeah.
Like when Jesse and I won Cincinnati, I got so many Instagram followers from that, and just so I think there were like 5,000 people just on the live stream, and then it's also on TV.
Yeah.
Well, now that you're on this pod, you're going to get so many more Instagram
That's
followers.
true. No, that's really, really true. But I enjoy APP tournaments more. I enjoy them. I really like Ken Herman, the people behind it, and I know that they are going to be kind of upping their game next year regarding media, and they're staying really competitive. Like the APP just created the stipends this year to compete with
What
the
are
PPA.
the stipends?
If you're top 10 based on your, you know, combination of your World Pickleball rankings, like if you're first through third, you get like $2,500 for showing up, and then like
Just showing up.
yeah, just an appearance fee.
Appearance
yeah, and then
fee,
4 to
okay.
7, it's like $1,500, which is the range I fall in right now, and then 8 to 10 is like 1,000.
Wow.
That's handy.
Which is really good, and I, you know, they're talking about increasing that pretty substantially next year, and also I know
Which only goes to 10, to the top 10.
yeah, it only goes to the top 10 right now, but I've heard they're gonna maybe go deeper
Really?
next year.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll see. So they're staying really competitive money wise, and that's basically to get people to not sign and to kind of reward pros.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so they're doing a good job of competing, and I know they're talking to other working on media deals too. So
Well, I feel like it's just so nice for the players. So I think of some of these contracts, like signing a 3-year contract, pickleball could be so different
Right.
3 years from now.
Even
like
within a year.
Maybe one of the tours doesn't exist. Like maybe MLP is not, like, I don't know. The landscape could be so different. And with how aggressive MLP has gotten with the prize money, and like I feel like the events, you know, just seem like they keep getting better and better. I feel like if I'm a PPA signed player, I'm kind of mad I can't play MLP.
yeah, and I think Tyson, like posted some video of him talking about this just like the other day, like some clip on Instagram. And, you know, next year MLP's expanding further. I think we were told the prize money is going to be over $2 million across the year, across the 6 events. And so like, and it's just so fun. Like,
Well,
it would,
fun, and
it would suck not to play, not to even have the option to play.
right.
Mhm.
One, I feel like if you can be fluid, like if you play a lot of APP, you know, if you're like you or James or whoever, like if you want to go play a PPA, you can go play a PPA.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can
Yeah.
still win. Like I don't know. I feel like you get the best of all, maybe not the best of all worlds. Obviously, there are perks to being assigned player, but I feel like being fluid almost matters more if you're just a good player. Like you just have options.
Yeah, totally. Especially with the APP stipends, like we're still getting, you know, plenty of money just to go play an APP. It's not like you're not getting an appearance fee ever. So
Yeah.
The fluidity is super important. Because right now I really like being able to play whatever I want, you know, go play PPAs with Jesse when I want to.
Yep.
You know, I'm going to Vegas in a couple weeks, but I still have MLP in my schedule, still have, you know, a couple big tier 1 APPs.
Well,
so
please don't sign with PPA because I would hate to miss seeing you on the APP and the MLP. Like actually you at MLP was the best. I remember statting it, and the one part, I think the clip that your dad said he found you was the story I had when it was on the finals and you hit this ball and it was clearly out. I mean, it was kind of close, but it was clearly out, and you were like, yeah, and everybody else in the crowd was just silent, and then you just turned around and you're like, I tried.
I mean, the reason I sold it so hard is because their body language, like when the ball traveled past them, is like they thought they had lost the point.
Yeah.
But then it clearly bounced like 6 inches out. But their initial body language was that, like, shoot, like she got us. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to send it here.
Do you think that happens at all where the other team, like let's say it's a really close ball where, you know, you could kind of flop either way on it? Do you think the body language or tone of the other person, like if they get amped, does that peer pressure you into not calling that out, do you think?
Everybody is doing that. I think you're missing out if you're not doing that, like screaming.
That's a high level play.
Some people do it like egregiously so. Like I think Callie Smith is one person. The ball will be like 10 inches out and she's shrieking, and it's just like, it was out. So,
Nope.
but everybody's doing that. If it's tight, if it feels tight off your paddle, like you're gonna scream.
I see.
Just because, you know, maybe it's like a passing shot situation. Someone can't even turn around.
Yeah.
Or you know, it's just close. And I'd say I don't really feel like I get influenced that much. You know, I've just dealt with that. Everybody does it in tennis too.
Yeah.
But
I've heard college tennis lines are
atrocious.
I wouldn't say they're atrocious. I think the SEC is known to be the worst.
Okay.
Probably line callers in the SEC.
Well,
Pac-12 is not that bad.
What about line callers in, I guess, just pickleball in general, like the reffing, like in calling the lines yourself? Is it a problem? Is it as big as a problem that I feel like people make it out to be?
I think a few people are problems,
Who
but
are they?
generally, I think on the women's side, you have Salome Davidze. On the women's singles, she's not really a threat in doubles or mixed, at least not right now. But she's been a lot better lately. But at first, she was just horrible.
That's what I kept hearing. I've seen a couple clips here and there, but you know, it's easy to cherry pick some clips. But you know, then I started seeing like 4 line judges in a PPA match against her, and it was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah, so I really think she's been a lot better, and I think part of it is she's just gotten flamed so hard.
Yeah. Bullied into not calling bad lines.
Yeah, so, but I think generally, you know, I think the refs do a good job of calling foot faults. You know, they could, you know, there's always room for improvement. But
well, are you thinking of the same story I'm thinking of?
Of course I'm thinking the same story.
I wish I had the clip to just show you, but when we were in the Atlanta APP, I saw probably the worst missed foot fault call I have ever seen in my entire life.
On Lee Whitwell.
It was Lee Whitwell, so of course it's even funnier.
Did you
that
see
it was
that
Lee.
No, but refs, there are some people where refs need to be paying a little extra attention for sure.
No, but this one wasn't even like close. So she poaches the ball, volleys it, and then literally steps into the middle of the kitchen.
Their arms like this.
Walks through the whole kitchen because she's like, oh, we lost the point. The point's still going. And after maybe like 6 or 7 seconds, she's like,
what's going on?
So she just hops back in the point. They play it out or whatever. It goes for probably another 10 seconds. And then they ended up losing the point. And Zane and Andrew were like, what the heck was wrong? Like, what were you doing? And she was like, did no one see that foot fault? And
it's like, we all saw it.
Yeah,
we were all,
when we saw it, we're like, how's the ref not calling this? It was, I don't know. I feel like you would have to literally turn your head and not be looking to have missed how bad that one was. But
well,
yeah,
that's probably like who knows? Maybe that ref was just asleep.
Yeah.
But generally, I think they do a good job. I don't really know what the solution is to the bad line calls that do happen, because I don't really know that lines judges are what we want either.
Yeah.
And then
Still human error.
Mhm.
yeah, and it would just be a totally different. Like right now, we don't have lines judges at all.
Yeah.
So to train people it's a lot to just watch one line for a whole match.
Yeah.
So I don't know that that's the solution. I really don't know. In tennis, you have like after your third overrule is also a point penalty. And then your fourth overrule is like you lose a set.
See, I think I would be okay with that, actually.
Your last overrule is you lose the match. And if I think pickleball could consider implementing something like that. And if you get a certain number of overrules, like it gets reported to the tournament, there's like a whole database. And if it's happening to you a certain amount, you may get, some consequences. I think that might be a better way to keep people honest, because right now there's no reason, there's no
For you to be
repercussions.
You could do whatever.
Yeah, especially
you
if you're not on a center court that's live streamed.
Yeah.
If you're on a live streamed court, at least you have some social pressure.
Yeah.
But if you're on a side court, you could do whatever you want and
Right.
get away with it. So I think that would be a system that would input more accountability, and that's not too difficult to implement. We just need a database to keep track of, overrules and who's getting overruled a lot.
Yeah.
And, if you get overruled your third time, you lose a point.
Oh, the
lose your
Facebook
serve.
Warriors, they got that database handy on their head.
On their heads.
So tell me, recently you switched. I can't remember if you were playing with the Ben Johns, if it was the Vision before, but now you're using the Solaire. Why'd you switch to the Solaire?
I had just played, I think TOC was my last tournament, and I had lost to Lucy and Callie, and I just felt like I wasn't hitting as hard as they were. And I didn't think it was like an issue of my strength or hand speed. I just felt like their paddles were just poppier.
Sure.
So I was talking to Yola, and they were like, you should try the Solaire. It's like our poppiest paddle. And I immediately liked it. Didn't really feel like I was giving up much. It's also thinner. It's a little bit more of that frying pan shape.
Yep.
Mhm.
And I started using it a week before Chicago and have kind of been on a tear since.
Which were you using before? I can't remember. Was it Ben Johns or Vision?
The Hyperion.
It was
Yeah.
the Hyperion. Okay. Yeah. Well, 14 millimeter. Add a little bit extra pop on it. Yeah, makes sense. So you've enjoyed it though.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Nice.
Like it a lot.
Nice. I think it was interesting seeing it is just seeing the shape change, because I feel like you don't see it too often. Most of the time, everyone's using, at least at the pro levels, using elongated. Obviously, you have people like Callie, and Onyx only makes the one shape or whatever. So
It's not that much shorter, is it?
I mean, it's just from elongated to standard shape.
Yeah,
Some
but it's a
people
long
matters.
handle still, I think.
It is
right?
long handle. Yeah, it's like
Oh,
5.5 inches or something like that. Do you have much lead tape on yours?
I have none.
No lead tape.
Yeah.
Really? Okay. Do you just find where the weight's at right now?
Yeah, I am. I like it. I might consider messing around with lead tape for singles at some point, but I didn't put any lead on the Hyperion either.
Okay.
I think a lot of women aren't putting lead on their Hyperions.
Sure.
I
I mean,
can't
it's
really-
already so head heavy. The
Yeah.
thing is like an absolute tank. It's like you could add it at the throat, but it's still just a bunch more weight to move around.
Yeah, so I don't. Yeah, and then I switched to the Solaire, and I didn't put any tape on it, and I liked it.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Okay.
How long does it normally take you to go through a paddle?
I was using them for a really long time, but now I'm like not using them for that long, like
Yeah.
maybe a couple weeks or something.
Sure.
Just because I'm just on a quest for like pop.
Yeah.
And so I
Right.
want like pretty fresh paddles. Whereas before, like I didn't feel like it was that, I just didn't really notice. But now playing more against the best women and just mix like counters, I just feel like the help, it's like a lot of help. I think that's one reason Anna Lee hits so hard is like that's a poppy paddle tech.
Yeah.
That thing's got a lot of pop.
Yeah.
And that helps. That's a huge help, the paddle. So yeah, just on a quest for poppiness. So I feel like right now, probably a couple weeks, and I want a new, like 2 weeks.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
And for you, this would have been, well, we've talked to James a little bit about it. Maybe we missed it on the podcast. But so spin in the game, obviously there's been all these paddles coming out, way better spin. I'm sure you've played with a number of paddles. If you had to go from, I don't know, what's a paddle you've used that didn't have much spin, just so I don't have to make one up?
In all honesty, I've only ever tried 4 paddles.
Oh, okay.
And I used, like, I'm not a paddle nerd.
Sure,
like
sure.
I started with the Franklin Ben John signature. Then I used the Model E, didn't try anything else. Just like, all right, I want something with like carbon surface.
Yep.
Then I started talking to Yola. Yola sent me a Hyperion. I used the Hyperion. They sent me a bunch of other paddles to try, including the Visions, the Radius, the Solaire, and I just didn't even bother.
Sure.
And then they're like, try the Solaire, and I was like, I like this one.
Okay.
So I
Sure.
can't really speak to paddles.
Oh no, you're fine. I was just the main question I was curious about is with like paddle tech, the surface they're using is not known for, it's actually pretty weak in terms of spin. And then, a lot of what Yola and other companies are doing have been quite good. So I was just curious from your perspective, how much the extra spin potential mattered, or if you're like, I just like, that's not even something that crosses my mind.
I don't think that for me, the carbon surface is really that important.
Really?
I don't think so, because I don't hit with that much spin.
Sure.
I don't really
not
shape
even singles.
I don't really shape the ball that much. I'm a really like flat ball hitter. Like the only shot I hit pretty spinny might be like my backhand roll, but I see like, Catherine and Anna Lee generate tons of spin. Jackie Kawamoto generates tons of spin with the paddle tech, and I've heard maybe it's pretty soft, which is why a reason they can do that. So I'm not like married to the carbon fiber surface by any means. I don't think for my game is that important. I think people who shape the ball a lot, it probably does matter, but I really don't. I'm a really flat ball hitter, so I'm totally open to not using a carbon fiber surface paddle.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, good to know.
So something I've noticed just watching your matches, I can't remember if it's after your serve or before or both, but you spin the paddle like a ton. Why? Did you do that in tennis? Yeah,
I think Dylan Frazier and I are like the big paddle spinners. I call it a glitch. Like in tennis, you see, I don't know if you guys followed tennis much, but Novak Djokovic like would bounce the ball like 40 times before he serves. Yeah, or like Rafa would like be messing with his pants a lot. So I think some people have like, I call it a glitch. It's just hard for whatever reason, like a mental block to start your service motion. And so I had that in tennis. Like most people don't. It's like not a lot of people have it, but it's manifested in different ways my whole life. Like it was like racket spinning. I'd like tap my foot. I like would start my motion. I couldn't get past like my hips. I couldn't get the toss right. And it was funny because I had such a solid serve. Like I didn't double fault. But in pickleball, I don't get it that badly just because you only have 10 seconds to serve.
Yeah.
Sometimes in tennis, it take me 45 seconds to serve. It was horrible.
Sure.
And it's just a feed. Like it's not that hard to make your serve. But if you pay attention, I spin it a lot more in singles because I'm a lot tighter because the serve like matters more. Whereas in doubles, I just like push it in. So that's what that is. It's not like anything strategic. It's just.
Oh yeah, definitely. Or at least if it was strategic, I was going to be pretty shocked. I was just always surprised, just like, obviously you're landing your grip back to wherever it was after spinning it a bunch. So
right. And so we've been talking a lot about, I guess, your life in pickleball. Obviously it's consumed your life, these past couple months. So if you weren't playing pickleball, what would you be doing right now? Or right now when you're not, I guess, training or practicing or at a tournament, like what are you doing? What does Anna Bright like to do?
I don't know. Probably when I'm not doing pickle related things, I'm just vegging out generally. I'm not really doing much. But I think if I wasn't playing pickleball, what I wanted to be getting into was like running marathons and like ultra marathons.
Oh, okay.
Is where my head was at.
Always competing.
Yeah.
That's big competing.
And like working my normal job, of course. Yeah. But that's what I was thinking actually was going to be my situation.
Are you competitive outside of things in sports? Like I don't. I'm also hyper competitive. Will knows this over like dumb things.
I bet you can't go up these stairs with all that luggage. He's watch me, and then I'm like, this is how you get Chris to carry all your stuff upstairs into the Airbnb without doing any work.
Normally, it's got to be I'm actually competing against someone, but it'd just be a stupid random thing. Are you similar? Or is it just in sports?
Yeah, not really. Like only in things I care about. And things I care about, I'm really competitive, but like. Never cared about like board games or bowling. It's like whatever.
Well, what else do you care about aside from pickleball?
Like in high school, like I really, really cared about grades. Like I was in the hunt for valedictorian. Like that's one example. Like I was kind of psycho about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Different things in my life, but.
Yeah. Do you have any like TV shows or something you like to watch?
No, not a big TV person.
Wait, so then when you come out and hang out with James, and for this, so
we should have covered this on the last one. Go ahead.
So I'm just assuming, I guess I should ask you officially, but just the way that James was talking about you, you're talking about him, I'm assuming that you are dating Mr. James Igantowich. Is that, can you confirm or deny that?
He's actually dating me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's the correct answer.
James and I have been together since like early March.
Okay.
All right.
Nice.
And so, yeah, when you guys are hanging out together or whatnot, obviously because you're both pro pickleball players, so are you just talking about pickleball or you're not talking about pickleball? Is there a hard set rule like, okay, no talking about pickleball And I don't know, do you guys train together, drill together, or do you guys, I don't know, how's it playing with him? All the things.
Yeah, we pickle together a lot.
Well, because for those of you who don't know, at least at James's place, there's nothing to do. There's nothing in that apartment. When I say there's nothing, I literally mean there's nothing. There is no couch. There is no chair. All that there is a bedroom with a mattress on the ground.
Yes.
That is absolutely it in that apartment.
I think there's like a TV screen, but it's not hooked up.
There's nothing to sit on, so I don't know what it's there for.
It's pretty funny. It's pretty barren. Yeah, we definitely talk about pickleball a lot, but sometimes one of us will be like, no more. And then it's like, okay. So, but there's no hard set rule, like, by any means, but we definitely talk about it a lot, but mainly on tournament days, like after we're done, it'll be like, can we please not talk about pickleball?
Sure.
But I don't know. We talk about lots of stuff.
Do you ever play singles against James? Like just train some singles with him?
Yeah, for sure.
Who wins?
Oh, he does. For sure.
Wait. How many points do you typically get off him? What's your average amount of points you get off him?
If it's like a full court game, like not more than like 1 or 2.
Hey,
really? Wow.
We've done better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but James is probably a lot nicer to us.
Of course he's a lot nicer to us.
I will say, so I started, well, he was doing it first, and now I've just kind of done a little bit of it. But, whenever we're with some of these pros, we'll play some matches against them. We'll film and just make a YouTube video about it, singles, doubles, whatever. I played Zane, and, I felt terrible. Like, I got 2 points or something like that. Zane was screwing around. James feels like a whole nother level. Like, it's, like, scary playing, at least in doubles. I'm not worried about getting hit in singles, but it's the passing shots are so fast. He's so aggressive on the court. You feel like you can't do anything right.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So whenever I drilled James, like, he had, like, a streak of not having hit me for, like, a couple weeks now.
Wait, what? Not hitting you? A streak of not hitting you?
Yeah, something to be proud of.
So that means he hits you a lot.
He hits me all the time.
Oh, wow.
I just get physically abused.
I'm glad he was nice to us then, for the most part.
But yeah, he hit me yesterday. And he was like, oh no. And I was like,
I hope nobody clips this and puts this out of context.
That would sound really bad.
Yeah, I hope your dad doesn't find that he searches for those exact words.
I mean, my dad has seen us practice and like I'm getting hit. And my dad was like joking. He was like, did you just hit my daughter? So it's just how it goes, but it's good practice for me, but it's like you said, it's a little suffocating. It just feels like there's nothing you can do. Like yesterday we were playing a dink game and I had lost like my 4th one in a row. And I was like, we have to change this. And I was like,
so tall.
I was like, you can't speed the ball up until I have sped the ball up because it's just within 3, like he's speeding up and I didn't even hit a bad dink and there's just nothing I can do.
Well,
and,
we did a little bit of doubles against him with Kyle. And I just basically never even attempted to drop to him because it's like, if I don't hit the best drop I've ever hit in my entire life,
the
ball's going to get flicked at me.
Well, let's just also put it out there that this whole entire weekend, James has not lost any single match or game that he's played in until yesterday when he played me and Chris against Kyle and James, and we took them out. And after that,
Kyle really held him back.
That's really funny.
Yeah, and after that, we're like, nope, we're not playing anymore. We are going to leave victorious.
That's so funny. No, he's so competitive. It's so cute. So
Who's
I think
more competitive?
James, I think, is more competitive than me.
Really?
At least in like practice games and stuff. But also he knows he has to win. But you guys were gonna do the 2 versus 1 stuff.
Yeah.
And he texted me and was like, can you go to this Instagram story and vote 2 serves?
Please tell me.
He's like, I need 2
vote
serves. And I was like, oh, okay. Then I was like, what are you doing? And then he told me, and I was like, you will beat them with 1 serve. I was like, you only get 1 serve. And I voted for 1 serve. I was like, you don't need 2 serves. But he just doesdoesn't want to risk losing with 1 serve even.
Exactly. This is what I said. I said he was just scared. I was like,
yeah.
He was scared.
And then later he told me, he's like, so we actually did both. And I beat them both times.
He did.
And
I
was
win
like,
both.
yeah, like, of course you did.
I do think if we did it again, 1 serve, I feel like we'd beat him. Yeah. I think we could beat him.
Well, now you're more comfortable playing against him and used to the speed.
I'm ready for you, James. I see you walking up the stairs. That's right, you walk away. But yeah, so this is great. We appreciate having you on. It was a lot of fun. What's kind of next for you? What's coming up? Obviously MLP. But everything big for the rest of the year?
Vegas is before that.
Are you still? Wait, who are your partners in Vegas?
Paris Todd and Tyler Loong.
Whoa.
Oh, that's fun.
Wait, I want to know now. I mean, you're pretty high profile now. So are you reaching out to these other players to partner? Or are they reaching out to you?
I'd say it's both. Honestly,
Okay.
I'd say it's both. Yeah, we're all kind of.
I was just curious if
Yeah,
there's
I don't.
anybody.
I don't know that anybody is so good that everybody is just asking them to play.
Yeah. Hey,
you know,
wanna
because
play a
there's
tournament
like I
together?
said, I think that a lot of the best players are signed with the PPA, but like in that 2 to 10 range, like we're all pretty close in level.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of different combinations of us are
Yeah.
all about the same. So
Wait, so then are you going to play any, I guess, regular tournaments with James as your mixed partner
James and I have played 4 tournaments together
this year?
now. Yeah.
Gotcha.
How
Okay.
was
Yeah,
it?
yeah. How was that?
We've done all right. Never had like a great day. Just kind of have felt like there's always been something that's been a little off. But yeah, we're gonna play a good amount together next year. I mean, we'll get to practice together a lot. So
Yeah, and then obviously, MLP, you guys are on the same team.
yeah, but we don't play together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that.
And now, is that just because the matchup is better the other way, or because you guys have played enough and you're like, it's just like...
Not that per se, but DJ and I had played like well together in the first MLP. We only played 1 match together, but it felt really good. And
DJ needs you.
DJ, for whatever reason, has like a bit of a mental block with the
Yes.
Kawamotos. He's always like,
Really?
like both him and Jackie said like they don't play well together. And DJ and Jade, like me and AJ beat DJ and Jade, like they didn't do well that turn. So for whatever reason, DJ just he loves the Kawamotos, but just doesn't really like playing with them,
sometimes it just
and
doesn't
vice
work.
versa.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what that came down to.
And also you hype him up because sometimes he can be, I feel like DJ can be also really streaky, like,
super streaky.
Super
yeah.
streaky,
Like
and
when
then-
he's playing well, he could be like one of the very best players in
Yes.
the world when he's playing poorly. So I think like, especially in MLP, I think our match against the Jackrabbits, against AJ and Mary, I think I kind of kept him in that match.
Yes, no, you definitely did. We watched
But generally, like, especially last day, he played unbelievable. But so I think I'm a good fit.
Yeah,
for
you hype
DJ
him
in
up.
that sense. Yeah.
that. You hype him up.
And that's a whole team effort though to keep all of us engaged and playing well and fighting. But I think it's the best for our team to have. And Jackie and James were playing Unreal together as well. Like they were such a lock.
So I was curious when the Rangers, when they drafted you guys, like you and James, did they know that you were dating, or was that with just like luck of the draw that you just happened to be drafted to the same team? Or
I think everybody in all the players knew James and I were together. So we knew we were gonna waive Austin. Tough decision, but we didn't feel like we got 11th place, so we had to make some changes.
Yeah.
And Tim Klitsch, the Ranchers owner, like already knew James and asked DJ and I for our thoughts, and we both, I mean, obviously it's a little bit of nepotism on my part.
Yeah.
But I was thinking we really needed a single stud because we lost in 2 Dream Breakers, and having DJ be our best singles player is just not a great spot to be in because he never plays singles. So
Right.
I felt like going 2-2 was already a loss for us. And you don't want to play to where you go 2-2 and you feel like you have no chance, because a lot of these matches are going to go 2-2, I think, especially with the rally scoring. It's just a little bit of a crapshoot.
Yeah.
So it was I really felt like, and I was able to, I think DJ saw it, Tim saw it, but I really felt like we needed a single stud. James is
That's the
guy.
bill.
James is on the same caliber, it's like J-Dub and Zane.
Yeah.
So one of the very best top 2 singles player in the field, and just someone who has a great game style to not lose to a woman, because he doesn't have to come in. He's not going to get past.
Yeah.
So, and then he's also a really good mixed player and is like really solid, getting a lot better at men's too. So I thought
You
James
talked
was
very
the best
highly of
pick.
James.
And it's not like we were the only team that wanted him. Like the Bus wanted James, the Jackrabbits had interest in James. Like Richie came up to James, said, I want you if I get like an early pick, and we know the Bus wanted him. So it's not like it was only the Ranchers that wanted him. Yeah.
I'm excited to see kind of what his future looks like. I knew about James before this. I've watched matches of James, but after being around him, talking to him, playing him, well, I don't know if I hate him, but I will get him back for all the roasts. We'll find a way.
That's the reason I love him.
He's just so, I feel like he's like, maybe not in the pro scene, he's not, but at least watching from the outside, I was like, okay, yeah, this guy seems good. But after playing him, I'm like, I feel like he could definitely be one of the best players. Like singles, any other pro I've played in singles, I have not experienced this level of like helplessness.
I know.
It's like there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, his ability to pass is just, it's unbelievable.
When you think
It's
like, oh,
unbelievable.
someone's going to hit the ball that hard, it has to go out. There's no way it goes in.
Yeah.
And you watch, and it's like, that was like 2 feet in.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
Wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His issue is, I've told him this and we've talked about it, like he's kind of like the Rafa Nadal. Like nobody's really expending more energy in singles than James is, I think, you know, just to rip that hard. Like every ball's max effort.
Yep.
So he's just got to be like freakishly fit to maintain that. Whereas for me, like I don't even, it's like women's singles. It's like, you know, their draws, like the last PPA draw was like 53 people.
Yeah.
It's like I have like, you know, having more than 16 just doesn't even happen. So, and the women's game is a lot less physical just because our points aren't as long because they can't be.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have in men's singles pretty regularly, like who's at the kitchen line changes because the points are so wild.
Yeah.
Whereas in women's, like the points are pretty quick. So
Yeah.
it's like, don't even have to be that fit to play women's singles. It's just totally different.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Cool.
Well, this is great. We appreciate having you on. Thanks for coming, and
Catch you in the next one.
yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
See ya.
Sweet.